Shout out to Cats Pawd.
A good defensive play for Montana State.
Touchdown, Tommy Milan is electrifying.
Welcome to the Cats Pod.
What's up, Podcats? Here we are, still living in the bliss that was that Cat Grizz weekend. I think I've fully recovered. I ended up catching a cold as well as everything that happened on Cat Grizz weekend, so it's been a pretty rough week going into Thanksgiving. How you been feeling, Eric?
Still riding high, man. Rubbing it in Grizz fans' faces left and right as much as I possibly can. It's a great time to be a Bobcat right now.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah. I mean, we haven't had a time where it was this great being a Bobcat. I can't in the entire lifetime, for sure.
Did you happen to see the video of Brett Vegan talking about the seniors and kind of what it means? And
Yeah.
he brings up they get to leave as the winningest class in school history. That's pretty cool.
It really did put it into perspective,
Yeah.
just like how historical this team really is. Like how this is greater than any team in Bobcat history. I mean, there is arguments to be made
Yeah.
because there's still a lot of season left to go. But as far as a regular season, there's no team that matches this team.
No, there really isn't. And, a lot of the chatter online is about how, the Grizzlies defense, they held the Cats in check for most of the game. And, I think the response to that is, do you actually think the Cats had their foot on the pedal? That they just played their game?
Oh, I saw some people making an argument that the Grizz played the Cats closer than any other Big Sky team had, or any other FCS team had, outside of UC Davis. And I was like, if you're already adding that many contingencies to your argument, like it's not that great. But if you look straight up scores, Idaho State played a better game against Montana State than the Grizz did. Like the Bobcats definitely weren't in full form
Yeah.
when they played against Idaho State. Like this team has grown throughout the season and has become better game to game. But Idaho State arguably played them a lot better than the Grizz did.
The reality is that the Bobcats did exactly what they wanted to the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And, in complete honesty, it was never stressful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even that first drive when they ran 9 minutes off the clock, that was the game right there. I mean, the Grizzly defense was never going to be able to hold up to that kind of ground and pound.
And converting hard third downs as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think they had to convert 3 third downs. It was 2, maybe 3 third downs on that first drive.
Yeah.
And after you have a poised drive like that, it's like today's going to be a long day for any Grizz fans.
I think the difference between this team and some other teams we've seen in the past is that this Bobcat team, for the most part, is not going to just out and out boat race anybody.
No.
They're going to play their game and they're just going to basically exist.
Yep.
They don't have to stress, and they're not going to put up 50 points in a game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to because the defense isn't going to let the other team score.
Yeah.
So that argument of the Grizz defense performed admirably, or the Grizz defense was stout, it's like not really.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
really.
they did make some key plays during points in the game, but it was nothing more than just a couple of key plays.
Yeah.
And they didn't stop anything major from happening. And honestly, the Cats still had an average rushing game for them.
Yeah.
Yep. They were held in check for the most part, and then all of a sudden Adam Jones happened, and it's like, oh yeah, that's why you average 300 plus yards a game in rushing.
I listened to Samuel Akim's breakdown, and he was talking about how everybody was just waiting for the Cats to gash them because they do it to every team. There's going to be a 70, 80-yard run, and he said, and it, basically we were just waiting for it to happen, and it finally did.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just it's kind of one of those deals where I feel like the Cats didn't have to try very hard to win this game. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is they just didn't feel like they had to really try that hard.
They never have to do anything special.
No.
They didn't have to pull out any trick plays. They didn't have to mess with schemes a lot. It was just good, solid, fundamental, everybody doing their job, more cliches, football.
Tommy
You
didn't
know?
Tommy didn't have to throw a pass in the second half.
No.
So
And it was completely unnecessary for him to throw a pass.
yeah. Yeah, he had one drop back and he ended up running it himself.
Yeah.
So no, I'm still riding super high off that. I mean, what a way to cap off an incredible season. The players, I mean, hats off to them. The awards are just flowing in. I mean,
Yeah.
good grief.
It is a great week to be a Bobcat
Yeah.
player, you know?
Yeah.
It just kind of showed exactly how much respect that this team deserves when it comes to all this.
Should we do a quick little recap of the awards that are coming in?
Oh yeah, let's go for it.
So should we start with the biggest snub?
Well, we got to start with this. I think we should go through and then bring up the snubs at the end, but we can start with the snub.
The biggest snub is that Rohan wasn't the newcomer of the year.
That is a big snub.
I hate that.
I can't think of a better newcomer than there is in the game.
They went with NAU's quarterback who's been good, but he missed time during the season. He missed the Grizzly game for sure.
Yeah.
So like I get that he's had a good season, but Rohan has been so good for the Bobcats and like he has a lot of highlights, like incredible highlights, like carrying 6 guys into the end zone kind of highlights.
Yep. And he was an instant spark in
Yeah.
like every
Yeah.
game for the Cats. It was so helpful the entire time.
And he's been impactful in every game pretty much.
I-
Every game that he's played in. So
I can't think of a single game where he didn't make his presence known
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like, well, there was one big play, one big touchdown. He just has a nose for the end zone and just does it.
Yeah. Anyway, I felt like Rohan deserved that award, but that's also me being super biased, but also knowing that he had a great season.
I mean, can they just let somebody sweep all of the awards? You know, even if it's deserved.
Yeah. But anyway, that being said, we have Coach of the Year, Freshman of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, everything was covered. Special Teams Player of the Year. Where was our Special Teams Player of the Year? Come on,
man.
Taco Dollar, Special Teams Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Jones, Freshman of the Year. Pretty sure everyone in the whole league saw that coming. I mean, all he did was light it up all year long.
Everybody in the entire country should see that coming.
Yeah, you could make an argument that he should have been at minimum all conference selection too,
Oh yeah,
because he single-handedly willed games. I mean, you think about the New Mexico game,
mm-hmm.
we don't win that game without Adam Jones.
Yeah,
You think about what he did at when Sac State came to town, had just the most incredible stat line I've ever seen for a Bobcat player.
Yeah.
So, super well-deserved award.
yeah,
And real happy for Adam Jones.
yeah. Capping everything off with that Cat Grizz.
Yeah.
Like he already had the resume for Freshman of the Year, countrywide, conference-wide, everything, and then you throw a 200-yard day in the mix just for funsies, for funsies, you know?
Yeah. Offensive Player of the Year, Tommy Malott, also extremely deserved award. It shows that the respect every coach in the league has for Tommy, and you couldn't ask for a better person to receive the award, honestly.
Yeah, I would love to hear just one person try to make an argument against that pick. I just want to hear what they could come up with because it's so ironclad at this point that he is the best offensive player in the conference, let alone the country.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what are you going to come up with to try to argue against this?
Yeah.
Like you throw one interception.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Is that the argument? I don't know.
Yep. That's exactly right. Like all he did was go out and be a crucial member of the team, not make mistakes, and win football games. Yeah. I am so stoked for Tommy Malott. He deserves it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Nobody's just a better dude. You know,
Yeah.
he's a real leader through and through. He's honestly too good. Makes me jealous because you're not supposed to be like this talented and then also good looking and also like just a really good person.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to have all three. You're supposed to at least give me something that you're not spectacular at. You know,
Exactly. And the last award, Coach of the Year, Brett Vegan.
Brett Vegan.
Let's go.
That's awesome. It's awesome that even having the most stacked roster in the conference, they still could see everything that Vegan has done to make this team the well-oiled machine that it is. Because he does have a bunch of talent, but the most talented teams don't always win because they break down mentally or they break down with disciplinary issues.
Yeah.
And we haven't had anything like that this year.
No, all Brett Vegan has done since he's been here is win football games.
Mm-hmm.
He has been a brilliant coach, and when things have been, when the team has fallen short, he's corrected it.
Oh yeah,
And I mean, can you ask for a better correction than this year to go 12-0?
it was a refinement for sure.
The number one team in the country going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I just still in shock almost, even though we predicted it right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Yep.
We predicted it the entire way through, never wavered for a second,
Yeah.
and it's still shocking to me what has happened throughout this season.
Yeah. Congratulations to Coach Vegan. I mean, job well done.
Job well done, dude. Stay forever.
Yeah.
Stay forever,
Yeah.
please.
And the Melstone Cowboy brings in the final award.
Yep.
Brody Grebe,
Defensive player of the year. Yep.
Let's go.
It was pretty awesome. I was glad to see that for him. Up and down season, honestly. Never really felt like he was fully healthy. Like
Yeah.
he was playing in a lot of games where he was not at 100% and still looked very, very special the
Yeah.
entire time. Still looked like the best defensive player in the conference.
He draws a ton of double teams, tons of missed holding calls, and he's always present there in the backfield. He's
Yeah.
always figuring out a way to impact a play. I mean, we already knew that everybody respected what he's done. We
Mhm.
already knew that, but once again, Brody Grebe coming through clutch,
Yeah.
fulfilled the preseason expectation of the defensive player of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Start to wire, the leader for that award,
yeah.
Brody Grebe. Like all of these guys on this list are the most deserving dudes in the conference.
I couldn't
There's
agree
not
more.
even one person that I could see anybody making an argument against.
Yeah,
You'd have to make an argument for someone else. You cannot argue against them.
yeah, and I really agree with you. I mean, I know that I don't really know who would have challenged for defensive player of the year, honestly. Offensive player of the year may have been Lan Larison. Anyone else come to mind to challenge?
That's about it. I mean that is the only one you could make a serious argument. You can't really make a Dante argument
No,
because Dante had games where he was flat out
Montana State
stopped.
game, yeah.
He was flat out stopped. Lan Larison has never had a game that I can remember where he was just flat out stopped.
And I think the reasoning you go with Tommy is because it's near perfection, and
Mhm.
he did not play all the way through very many games this year.
Yeah.
And he still put up statistically an insane season.
Yeah.
So I feel like there was no real argument there for Lan Larison, and coach of the year is maybe UC Davis's coach, but Brett Vegan's, beat him.
He
So
beat him. Yeah.
So,
He just straight up he
yeah.
won the head-to-head matchup. Shout out Coach Plow. Very definitely respect you. Respect the mustache.
yeah,
But
I don't.
you're not the best coach in the conference. I'll just put it that way. From my very biased opinion, Brett Vegan is not far and away, but definitely a serious number one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then freshman of the year, I saw a few on that list, but it wasn't close. Like one of them was Carson Conklin for Sac State, which I think he's an okay quarterback,
Mhm.
but we watched him play. It wasn't good.
He's got some stuff to work on.
Yeah.
Got some things to tweak in the off season.
Yeah, it wasn't a good performance for him,
Yeah.
so I don't think it was necessarily close, especially given what what Adam Jones did against him in that game. So,
Yeah. It was Adam Jones has just had amazing game after amazing game. With limited snaps, he just makes plays.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you could really make a serious argument against him.
Yeah. And on to the next awards, and I'm going to need the tablet for this because this is an insane
It's
number.
a long list. It's a long list. We got to give it to the people though.
I mean, I wish I knew if this was a record
I don't
for
know.
players, but this list is unbelievable. So,
We're talking about the all conference for the Big Sky.
all conference for the Big Sky. And I'm not reading everybody off. We're just going
Just the Cat
Montana
players, right?
State.
Yeah.
First team all Big Sky offense. Quarterback Tommy Malott. Running back Scottre Humphrey. Fullback Rohan Jones. Well done, sir. Offensive lineman Marcus Weir. Offensive lineman Connor Moore. And that does it for first team offense. First team defense. Defensive lineman Brody Grebe. Linebacker McCade O'Reilly. And Rylan Ort, defensive back. First team All Big Sky specialist, punt returner Taco Dowler. Second team, we have Titan Fleshman, offensive line, and Cole Sane, offensive line. Second team defense, we have Danny Yu.
Shout out Danny Yu. That's
Danny Yu.
that's a great pick by the Big Sky Conference.
Oh,
Like I think this is voted on by coaches and maybe a few other. I'm not really sure exactly who all votes on it, but that is a very classy, and I respect that move putting him on the list, even
Tugs-
with a limited season.
tugs at the old heartstrings.
It does. It does. Very deserved.
And defensive back Andrew Powdrell. Well done.
That's a big one.
Well done,
That's a
Andrew
big one.
Powdrell. A sophomore. Let's see. And second team all Big Sky specialist, we have punter Brandon Hall.
There you go.
Honorable mention. We have Adam Jones, Montana State. We have that's it.
That's it.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention defense. We got a couple guys
Yeah.
there.
Honorable mention defense. We have Kenny Iden. Well deserved, very well deserved. Maybe deserved a little higher spot, in my opinion, but yeah. So by my count, 17? 17 Big Sky between first team, second team, and honorable mention.
Yeah. That's like most of the starters. Yeah.
I don't really have any super issues with this list. I do feel like Cole Sane maybe deserved first team.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of felt like maybe he was a little too far down, but second team is extremely impressive. I mean, it really is.
The only star I think I missed out of that list, and I might have missed you saying it, but Drew Powdrell or Drew Polidor.
Yeah,
Drew Polidor.
he wasn't on here, but he
Not
only
on
played
there.
the last couple games.
I know he had a limited season, but what he did with that time, what Drew Polidor did with the time he had on the field was very special.
Yeah.
So I could see him deserving at least a little bit of conversation there, but it's understandable when you're playing a limited amount of games.
Yeah,
and when you're voting on those awards.
I think that if he had been here for the whole season, there's absolutely no doubt he makes the list. But I think that just because of the limited amount of games he played, I think that's kind of what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than
Makes sense.
Cole Sane being underranked, in my opinion, the only other one I can think is our guy, Brandon Hall.
That's true.
He just didn't get to punt very often. It's not his fault.
That's the only problem he had.
It's not his fault.
Like he nailed every single punt that he had. He just only got to punt like 7 times all season.
Let me go back on this list, Ben. I want you to tell me which school first team All Big Sky specialist punter is from.
Second best team in the Big Sky Conference, Northern Colorado.
Also, the team that maybe punted the most.
Yeah, he got a lot of boots in the air. You know, he had to punt quite a bit.
Chances are one of those kicks was probably good.
Yeah, I mean at least a couple.
He had a lot of opportunities.
He got a lot of practice this year. Got a lot of practice. Yeah, it definitely. That is a weird dynamic when when you're on an actually good team with a good offense, you're not going to get on the field very often.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
fact that that kills you it sucks. It's understandable, but it's just one of those weird things about football.
Yeah, yeah. But to have 17 players go for all Big Sky, that's a pretty special thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we always have quite a few guys get on there, super talented players, but that's a bunch.
Oh yeah.
Well done to every single one of them.
Yeah. Shout out to you guys. You make this podcast something that people actually want to listen to.
Yeah.
People don't want to listen to us talk about us.
Yeah,
They want to listen to us talk about some people that are playing some actually damn good football.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and if you guys sucked, nobody would want to listen to us. So thank you.
Yeah. We'd have the same 23 listeners from when we started this thing that were all of our friends and family members. you know?
Exactly.
So we appreciate you more than anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Should we move on to the games from last week outside of Cat Grizz? I think we can go pretty quick on these, but
Yes,
there are a couple that mattered as far as playoff seeding goes.
yes. So first off, Weber, terrible Weber, gets a win over Cal Poly.
It's good to end your season out on a win,
Yeah,
you know. And Cal Poly has been terrible. Also, I think we both picked. I think all three of us picked Cal Poly.
I'm pretty sure we
So
did.
we were definitely wrong on
Yeah.
this. Like, do not take our picks to the Montana Sports Bet machine
No,
because you will lose a lot of money.
nope.
But good on Weber State for winning a game, I guess. I think that's all you can really say. Season's over. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Next up, we have Eastern Washington at Northern Arizona, and we all felt like this was, this had to be Northern Arizona's statement to get
Oh, yeah.
in, and they held a team that scored 77 points the previous week to 18 and beat them handily.
Yeah. Northern Arizona proved that they have a very solid defense. And when they needed to win a game to get into the playoffs, they handled business in every way, shape, or form. And I think that we all doubted Northern Arizona's ability to put up 30 points.
We
Like that's a pretty high score for them throughout the season.
I think
and
we
they
felt
did it.
like that. I feel like that is the points they score.
That's the niche.
I feel like that's what they do. They score 30, 34, whatever,
Yeah.
something somewhere in that range. I feel like that's what they score, and that's what they're going to score, and they're going to lean on their defense.
Yeah.
And their defense seems to have, really stood up to the task pretty much all season long.
A very solid football program all around.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, good on Northern Arizona. They get that win and they punch their ticket. They're going dancing.
That's awesome.
First time in a very
Glad
long
to
time
see it.
for
Good for
Northern
you,
Arizona.
Lumberjacks. Good for you.
And like we all said last week, their home field advantage it's real.
Yeah.
And we all gave them the credit on that one, and they came through with their home field advantage.
Too
Next,
bad they're not seated, so
Yeah.
they will not be getting to enjoy that for the
No.
rest of the year.
No. You want me to just take this one?
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it. It's over. For now, not forever.
Portland State boat raced Northern Colorado. I mean, home
Yeah, they
field.
beat 'em pretty handily.
Apparently, Portland State's home field is better than Northern Colorado's stinky home turf.
Yep.
45-13. Never a doubt.
No. I'm sure there wasn't. I didn't watch a single snap of this game. But, Portland State is a solid team. I would fully expect them to beat Northern Colorado in all these situations.
Yeah.
Dante Satre is the dude, everything that we talk about when it comes to this Portland State team.
Yeah.
They just closed out the season the right way,
Yep.
It's nice when you get to close out the season on a win.
Yeah, that's good job, Portland State. They are a talented team that had the hardest schedule in the FCS. Good job getting a few wins, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I mean, good on you guys. You just had to run up against everybody that was really good. Hopefully you have better luck next year.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys get scheduled a little bit better.
Yeah.
And also they'll improve. I don't know if Sachere is a senior.
I think he is.
I'm
this
pretty
year.
sure he is because it's been a few years of watching this dude play football, so it would not surprise me if this was his last one. Kind of sucks to have this kind of season be your last season,
Yeah.
but he played some great football, so he's got that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a pretty special player. Next up, UC Davis squeaks past Sac State.
Kind of,
Squeaks.
kind of a head scratcher on this one. What's
I
going
agree.
on? Little hangover game?
A little hangover. I don't know. I mean, we all thought that UC Davis was. I didn't. We all call for a blowout. I feel like
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be ugly.
Sac State is bad.
Yeah.
They're so bad.
They're bad and, in fact, not good.
Yes, they. I don't even. Of course, we were riding high on the Cat Grizz thing and didn't care about this game.
Didn't care
At
about
all.
any game
No,
in the world.
no. So it's tough to say what happened. I know Lan Larison was out of his mind in this game,
Yeah.
but yeah, a 3-point win is all UC Davis could muster.
But it's like every game for UC Davis, it feels like this season.
There's been some head scratching wins.
They don't know how to win by a lot very often.
Yeah.
They win by a little, but they do win.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
outside against Montana State, it'll be a close game, but they win. They know how to win.
Yeah. Yeah. So UC Davis, I guess it's a win's a win. They got their
Win's a
win.
win. Time for the playoff.
They got their seed. First round bye. They handle business. So yeah, UC Davis, good job.
Hmm.
We'll see you later.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I kind of see that happening, but we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So our last matchup from last week.
Idaho at Idaho State, and I feel like Idaho State is just falling apart. I feel like they
Yeah.
started the season off okay, and it's just been downhill. I mean, Eastern Washington just obliterated, and I
Yeah.
said it after that game. I don't know if that's one you can recover from,
Yeah.
and they did not.
No.
Idaho, who is a good team, beat them by 23 points.
Yeah.
So
It's a tough one to call, and it's a
Yeah.
tough one to talk about. It's just like Idaho State showed a lot of fight early in the season. They didn't end it with a lot of fight. So they got a
No.
lot of work to do in the offseason. Hopefully they can work to turn around that program, but it was a tough end of the year.
It was.
You got to pick up that chip on your shoulder and build on it for next year. I mean, that's what the Cats did. And they were losing much more important games than Idaho State was losing, but you have to lose games to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Idaho is they've since the Cats, I don't believe that they've lost another game. UC Davis was in there somewhere, but I can't remember if it was before
Yeah,
or right
I'm
after. Either
not
way,
seeing the whole season right now.
they ended up on they went on a big winning streak and handled their business and did what they needed to do. So
Mhm.
they're in the playoffs.
They'd
Good.
be in the playoffs.
Good on them.
Yeah.
Good on them. Should we get into the bracket?
Let's get into that bracket.
We're
Okay.
gonna go through and make picks at the same time.
Picks at the same time. First round pickers. Are we gonna start? Where are you starting out?
Let's start with the 1 seed.
Okay, we'll start with the 1 seed. I thought we might end with the 1 seed, but
It's just right.
it's just right there.
I just want to say it. We're the 1 seed.
I mean, I put it on my Instagram story, all my stories. Put it on my life story. I knew that Montana State next to a big old number 1 was going to look very nice, and it looks even better than I thought it was.
Yes,
It's
great.
When I even just in text with a 1 next to a Montana State, all in Times New Roman.
Beautiful. Yes, it is.
Beautiful.
Let's do it this way. We'll just go 1 through 8 real quick.
Okay.
Discuss the teams with the first round bye, and then we'll just go quadrant by quadrant.
That works.
Boom, 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 boom.
Bop, 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 bop.
Bop, 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 bop.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it. So 1 seed goes to the Montana State Bobcats. We knew this was going to happen after North Dakota State lost. Hell yeah.
It's the best feeling. I don't know this feeling.
Yeah.
Is this what it feels like to be in like North Dakota or South Dakota?
I feel like it is.
Is this what they feel like all the time?
It is what they feel like all the time, and I'm glad that they don't get to feel it this year because I'm enjoying this.
I know. It's like, I guess if you're going to deal with the weather in North Dakota and South Dakota, you kind of have to have these kind of wins.
Yeah.
And I don't really need it, but it feels nice.
It
you
does.
know?
Yeah. And
Feeling very fresh. It's definitely helping with my seasonal depression too. You know,
The
the
mo-
fact that the Cats are doing so well, it's really dropping serotonin for me.
the best thing about it is every other team that we would play going forward,
Mhm.
potentially on our side of the bracket.
It's most likely people we beat already.
Well,
So what you getting at?
that and everything goes through Bozeman,
Mhm.
and they're all dome teams
They're all
except for
teams.
UC Davis, but that's California. So
Yeah.
have fun in Bozeman in December.
Yeah, there's going to be some sketchy games here over the next
Yes.
month in Bozeman,
Yeah.
where the weather reports may not be so nice for these teams.
Yeah. 2 seed North Dakota State. Kind of figured that would happen.
Yep, pretty safe on that one.
Yeah. 3 seed South Dakota State and 4 seed USD.
USD.
USD, I think, got hurt a little bit because of their one forfeited game, or not forfeited, a canceled game,
Mhm.
and the fact that they played a D2 team.
The whooping cough game
Yes.
did not help them out at all, and that really messes with the schedule because
It does.
I don't know if you beat. I don't know if it would have made a difference though. If they win that one game
But it
and
gives them
they have the
another.
head-to-head versus North Dakota State, are they going to pull them over into that 3 spot?
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
And that's the weird part because North
Yeah.
Dakota State had to win over South Dakota State, but South Dakota State had to win over USD, but USD had to win over North Dakota State.
Yeah, it's all just a mess.
Yeah,
It's all just a mess.
it's a weird little love triangle that I don't want any part of.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are your top 4. I feel like it's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the only one that was a lock was Bobcats at 1.
Mhm.
I feel like
And
you
I
could've-
think this is the way everybody kind of had it shaken out.
yeah,
They weren't going to move North Dakota State down a ton when they lose by
Right.
1 point
right.
to another top 4 team. And South Dakota State, still South Dakota State. They only lost the Dakota marker. They played really good football. And then South Dakota's the one that's kind of nipping at the heels a little bit still.
Yep. With 5 seed UC Davis clocks in, I feel like that's not really much of a surprise.
No, I would have really liked to see them at 4. You know, I think that's the only argument I could make. UC Davis's only real loss this season is to the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah, Cal and us.
Yes. As far as FCS football, they only lost to the number 1 team in the country,
Yep.
and they lost by 2 points. I feel like that is Missouri Valley bias.
Yeah,
They chucked those 3 top teams in there, even though it doesn't match up that way. As far as just like who people played and who they beat, I feel like UC Davis deserved a little bit more.
yeah. I mean, I think they just weighted South Dakota's win over the number 1 more than UC Davis's loss to number 1.
Yeah.
So
It makes sense. I'm not gonna start a riot over it, but also at the same time, I feel like they deserved a little bit more.
yeah. Clocking in at 6, we have Incarnate Word, and 7 Mercer. Don't know much about those teams other than just the little bits, and they've had strong seasons.
Yeah.
So that's I feel like it's probably fair.
As far as I know, as far as I've heard from listening to different podcasts and everything, Mercer very good defensively.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and like a little bit above average offense. And they've played really good games all year. They have
Yeah.
one really bad loss on the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all that's really holding them down. But other than that, they've just won games. And Incarnate Word, if I'm not incorrect, they are mainly an offensively driven team.
Yeah, they have a really strong offense,
Yeah.
and they've pretty much done well. They can score a lot of points. Yeah, I mean, I feel like them at 6 and 7 is probably pretty fair. I mean,
Yeah.
Idaho at 8 maybe wanted one of those 2 spots, but I bet they're happier being on our side of the bracket than they are the Dakota State side.
Well, it's hard to do it when you have the two major FCS games that Idaho has played. They lost both games.
Right.
Other
Yeah.
than that, they were beating teams that they very much should beat. The only rough games they played all year, they did not do well in. And then as far as Montana State, they did very, very poorly in that game.
Yeah,
that was
they
a
got-
bad loss for them.
They got absolutely drubbed.
So I don't see honestly moving Idaho up in that situation.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't either. I like the rankings. I'm
Yeah.
really happy with them. I think I like the bracket. This is going to be a fun bracket.
Honestly, this podcast is going to be much less entertaining because I feel like neither of us can be mad.
No. No, you're
I feel
right.
like part of the entertainment of this podcast was people getting mad or people watching us get pissed off. And they're just
Yeah.
not going to get that for
No,
now.
no,
you know?
you got a couple happy people.
You got a couple happy people. We are
Happy boys.
well-adjusted men now.
Yeah,
This is how this feels. It's
yeah.
crazy.
So first game on the Bobcats quadrant, we have New Hampshire at, or no, backwards, right? UT Martin at New Hampshire.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Uh, these are two not very good teams.
Yeah, these are two teams with very bad resumes. They're both 4-loss teams. I believe that's also no, they are just straight up 4-loss teams. It's
Yeah.
really hard with these East Coast ones.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams that I think deserve some respect on this bracket, but UT Martin and New Hampshire, they belong in the spot that they're in going in to play the number one team in the country. That's the way you're supposed to seed things.
I feel like UT Martin might be the better team. I feel like New Hampshire they got in off one win, the very
Yeah.
last win of the season, and that's it.
hmm
Because the rest of their season was so ho hum.
hmm
That last win against Delaware, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
that
I
sounds right.
I think that's what kind of propelled them in because Delaware has a pretty good resume and
Yeah.
is a transitioning FBS team. Uh, but yeah, I think my pick is probably UT Martin here. You could call that a bit of an upset because it's an unseeded team beating the seeded team.
I think it's fair. I don't like it's so hard to pick these teams that we don't see anything
Yeah.
from all season. And it's not like there was any reason for us to really tune in and watch this.
Right,
Like,
right.
what are we gonna watch 5 New Hampshire games this year
Yeah.
so that I can do a play-by-play analysis for this one podcast throughout the season? It's just neither of these teams have risen to
No.
relevancy yet. They could in the future. I think UT Martin's a good pick. It's what I'm seeing from a lot of people that know more about national football than I do. So I'd probably stick with you with UT Martin.
Yeah. Next up, we have Lehigh at Richmond.
Yep.
I feel like everything I've seen about Richmond is that they're actually a decent team.
Yeah. Richmond is a solid squad, 10-2 this season.
Yeah.
Like they're one of the people that teams have been talking about, or different pundits have been talking about them being able to make a run
Yeah.
in this as far as the teams that don't have a bye.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the Spiders.
The Spiders?
The Spider, the
Go with the
Donovan
Spiders.
Mitchells.
I'm going to go with the Spiders just because simply I remember cheering very loudly as a young man for the Richmond Spiders when they were playing against the Grizz in the national championship.
Yeah.
So I still got a soft spot for the Spiders. Lehigh, I could also cheer for Lehigh because they beat Duke in the NCAA tournament one time, and that gets a lot of praise from me.
So did Mercer, didn't they?
Was it Mercer? No,
I think Mercer
maybe.
got him once too.
It might have been. There's so many of these little schools that have beat Duke in the national tournament. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard not to run into one.
Next up, we're going down to the USD's quadrant, and we have SEMO at Illinois State.
SEMO at Illinois State.
I'm gonna no.
SEMO was an auto bid, weren't they?
So SEMO, no, Illinois. So it's the other way around. Illinois State goes to SEMO, right? Because Illinois State is hosting the state football championship. I believe I saw something about that.
It might be.
Yeah, there's something in that game. I'm pretty sure Illinois State can't host. So
SEMO is the host.
yeah,
They do have an
yeah.
asterisk on
So
that.
it is Illinois State at SEMO, even though SEMO's the at
Mhm.
large and Illinois State is the seeded team.
Yep.
So
This is one of those where, because SEMO was also an auto bid.
yes,
They were an enlarged, but they were an auto bid, and it's just because of that conference that they're in. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to judge who they are.
well, I know that SEMO has an offense that can really score the football.
Yep.
It's just hard to look. It's hard to pick them because they also have terrible losses.
Yep.
And Illinois State has put together a pretty decent season.
I feel like you don't end up in the first round unless you've had some terrible losses.
Yeah, yeah.
Like down the line, you're getting into these there's a couple 2-loss teams as far as the first round goes. But other than that, they're teams that they've struggled.
Yeah,
You can put it that way.
yeah. This is one that I'm gonna probably go with the seeded team on this one.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna go with Illinois State, even though I know that SEMO can put up some points and could make a decent run at winning the game. But yeah, Illinois State for me.
I'm right there with you.
Next up we have Drake at Carleton State. And the good old Pioneer League Drake
Pretty good. Pretty good squad,
is not going to do anything in this game.
Yeah, probably not. The old Drake Bulldogs.
Yeah.
What could I say about the Drake Bulldogs? I could say about anything because I have no idea anything about them. I think last year I picked them because I thought they may have connections to the Canadian Drake. And at the time, he was much more powerful. Drake has now lost a lot of his power.
Yes, he has.
So I would have to say Tarleton State is going to win this game. And they've been a team nationally that's been talked about all year.
Yeah.
They've been playing some good football.
Yeah.
Definitely bad losses like all these teams, but,
They
solid squad.
actually they have a really good home field advantage too. They can fill up a stadium pretty good. I think I saw
Oh,
something
yeah.
that they have their average was like right around 20,000 fans.
Yeah, I think they were at like 17,000, but they're like the fourth highest
Yeah.
in all of FCS. Like
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, so they can put some butts in seats,
Mhm.
and so I feel like, and we know what Drake is. Drake gets the auto bid every year to the tournament,
Yeah.
or to the playoffs, and they get smoked
Mhm.
every year. North Dakota State beat them 63-3 last year, or something like that.
Was Drake the auto bid from there?
Yeah,
Or was it
the
Lehigh?
Pioneer. Drake was the auto bid from the Pioneer League.
Okay. Which one's Lehigh in? I don't know. I'm a mess. Patriot?
Maybe.
I don't know. There's too many leagues.
There's a lot
Too
of
many
leagues. I know.
leagues.
I'm pretty sure Drake is a non-scholarship school.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah, so that finishes up that part. Now we go up to South Dakota State's quadrant, and we have the Tennessee State Tigers traveling to the Grizzlies.
This can be tough for your boy Eddie George.
It would be cool to see Eddie George in person. I'm
It
not
would
gonna lie.
be like I wouldn't be mad about
That's
going
like
to Missoula to
This
catch
is
it.
the most
Like,
exciting thing about
yeah.
that game is Eddie George is there.
Mhm. And since it's the weekend after Thanksgiving and all of the Grizz fans have given up on the Grizzlies,
Yes.
there's going to be tickets available.
Yes. Yes.
So you might as well head over there and just watch a day of football since we can't watch the Cats play. I could cheer on Tennessee State for a day.
Tennessee State, and this pains me to say,
It does.
but it's going to be cold in Missoula.
Yep.
And I don't know. I go back and forth on this because I did see that the low temperature is the same as what for Missoula is the same as what it is at Tennessee State, but they have humidity. So it actually is probably worse feeling in Tennessee than it is here with the dry cold.
I don't know.
So everyone who says that weather is going to be such a great advantage for Tennessee State, I feel like that's a little ridiculous.
And that was a meteorologist corner here at the Cats Pod.
Yeah, really good with weather.
When you got a humidity of 14.14%, and no, I think it's cold is cold.
Yeah.
If you're used to playing in cold, you play well in cold. If you're not used to being in cold and it gets into like the negatives, then I think it becomes an advantage.
Yeah.
But if it's above zero, don't be a baby.
Yeah. I mean, if we're putting biases aside, if the Grizzlies don't win this game, it is such an utter failure. I mean, let's be honest here. If they don't beat an unseeded team that barely made it into the playoffs,
Yeah. Rut-row reggie.
things have totally fallen off the wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, it's over. Heads are going to roll.
It's fallen off the wagon so bad that it'll be in rehab in a couple months.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, let's skip the pick on that one.
Well, yeah, I'm picking Tennessee State.
Let's go.
Whatever. Yeah, I'm
Let's
picking
go with
Tennessee.
it. Yeah.
You think I'm not going to pick Eddie George's team? Come
Yeah.
on. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
We're going Eddie George. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go.
Here we go.
Next up, we have Eastern Kentucky taking a trip to Villanova, and I have zero faith in Villanova. I always have zero faith in Villanova. Eastern Kentucky is going to upset.
Okay, I'm going to pick Villanova just because I love Villanova in other sports.
That's soft.
So,
That is so
I got to
soft.
do it. And they had a solid offense last year. They've been in the playoffs a few years. This Eastern Kentucky team, I don't think they're ready. I don't think they've been in the playoffs in recent memory. I don't know, but Villanova's been around for a little bit longer, so that's the only reason I have a little bit more faith in them.
All Villanova does is prove people right when they say they're overranked.
Yeah,
They're
probably.
always overranked, and now they've fallen all the way back to the 11th seed. They were in the top 6 at one point this year.
Yep.
And they just had terrible losses, and they just haven't been able to put everything together. And it's because they don't play anyone decent, and they're losing to bad teams.
Yeah.
Like I could see that. I can realistically see Villanova watch them put up like 60 points, but
Yeah, it could happen too.
I don't
Like
like
they've shown
picking
that in
these
the
teams.
past that they go over. They put some points up.
Yeah, I don't like picking these teams, and the only one I have any faith in that division is Rhodey.
Yeah. Rhodey has been very solid.
And I don't have very much
Shout
faith
out
in
Hack
that.
City.
Shout out Hack City.
Yeah.
Next up, we're moving down to North Dakota State's quadrant, and we have Rhodey at
Rhodey,
Central Connecticut.
who we had to look up. It
Yep.
was the only team we could not identify just from their logo.
Yep.
Like that's how unknown this team is to us. And probably to everybody who's listening to this. I don't think we have a lot of hardcore nationwide FCS people on here. But this is definitely a roadie game.
I feel like this is the easiest one to pick. Rhode Island's actually a decent team, and yeah, nobody knows who this other team is, and they're really nothing. So,
I could see Rhodey getting to play against North Dakota State. Like I could see them going that far. Mercer is a quality school, but also at the same time, I could see Rhodey going on a little bit of a streak here, being kind of the underrated team that didn't get the bye.
yeah,
And like you said, they've just shown that they're a solid team.
yeah.
So it's not even that big of a stretch to say that they go on a little bit of a run and end up making a little bit further down the line than people expect.
Yeah, I agree. I like Rhodey so much in this matchup. Next up, we have Northern Arizona traveling to Abilene Christian, and this is probably the hardest. I mean, if we're being totally honest,
Honestly, not for me.
Abilene Christian is a legit school that
No,
has
they're
given
not.
some serious runs to they I need to look up their record, but they had some real quality
They're 8 and
games.
4.
8-4, but some of those losses were to really good schools. I think they played South Dakota State or something like that.
But you got to remember, one of those wins was a field goal at the last second against Northern Colorado.
Yes.
Abilene Christian has been the biggest up and down team in FCS.
Yeah.
They were ranked top 10 and they almost lost to Northern Colorado.
I get it. I get it.
I get it. You get it. I get it. I just like Northern Arizona right now.
I do too.
enjoy the way they're playing football. I think they ended the season with their strongest football of the year. They've had to deal with a bunch of shifts at quarterback, and I feel like they finally have that solidified now, where they're getting the same QB in game to game, and he's feeling a little bit healthier now. So it's like I could just see them. I definitely see them playing against North Dakota State. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way.
So they had a 1-point loss to Texas Tech,
hmm
and they had a 3-point loss to Idaho.
Okay.
And then they beat, at the time, Central Arkansas, who was ranked,
Yep.
and they beat Harleton State, who is in the playoffs.
hmm
So it is a frisky team,
Yeah.
but I'm with you.
They're just up and they're super inconsistent. They're really hard to put your thumb on. So I may sound really stupid this weekend by saying that I don't think Abilene Christian's going to win anything, and that's kind of the the cliff that I'm dangling off right now. But at the same time, I believe in the Lumberjacks because after the game they pulled off against Eastern Washington, I don't know how anybody wouldn't be high on the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, I agree that Northern Arizona is going to win this game. It's a hard-nosed football team that understands. I feel like their offense is a little bit limited because I really feel like
Yeah.
they only score 30, 34 points a game.
Yeah.
But their
And
defense,
it's all like quarterback runs and stuff like that. It's a very
Yeah.
weird offense.
yeah, and their defense is just they've been in games all season long. I mean, they
Mhm.
probably should have beat Montana, but that Ty Pennington who stole Rohan's award, he was out for that game.
Yeah.
So I feel like Northern Arizona is their this is like their Cinderella season. They haven't been in the playoffs forever. They're
Mhm.
going to come out. They want this. I feel like they want this.
Oh yeah.
So I think Northern Arizona probably upsets Abilene Christian. Could be wrong, but
Mhm.
I feel like it's their destiny
Yeah.
to go on and give old North Dakota State a little
Yeah.
taste of the Big Sky.
Yeah. That would be pretty nice. I don't know. As far as down the road, I couldn't see Northern Arizona just because the way they're limited offensively, um, going very far, but
Yeah,
still a great story. They had to fight really hard to get back into this playoff run
yeah,
because they lost some tough games
yeah.
and did not let it affect them too much. So definitely a
So
lot of respect there.
going back, I should have brought this up when we were talking about New Hampshire UT Martin.
Mhm.
Little trivia for you.
Okay.
Who was Tommy Malot's first ever start against?
Was
Hint,
it against UT
it
Martin?
was.
Yeah.
We want some. That's like destiny, right? We
It-
get UT Martin at
it-
home for Tommy Malott.
Hey, time is a flat circle, brother.
Like
Hey,
the earth.
we've come right back around. I can tell you right now. I was trying to do Matthew McConaughey and it didn't come out right. Like, I've been doing this Stone Cold Steve Austin accent for the last week, so I can't get into McConaughey.
Yeah. This is. I mean, Saturday's gonna be fun. We have an entire day of playoff FCS football.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we don't have to be stressed about any of the games.
No, we don't have to be stressed about any of them,
We
and
can
we
just watch.
we don't even have to stay up and watch the Grizzly game if we don't want to.
Yeah, if we really want to, we can stay up. If I really feel like it, that's awesome. But at the same time, also, it's a free Saturday on a long weekend.
Yes.
That is nice.
Yep. And the other reason we don't really have to stay up and watch the Grizzly game is because they're not getting past South Dakota State. So it doesn't matter win or lose.
Honestly, I've said this already, but I know there's a lot of extenuating circumstances when it comes to Montana. But I would not want to be South Dakota State playing against a pissed off or South Dakota State. I said it right. I would not want to play against a pissed off, embarrassed Montana team
Well,
because they do stuff in the playoffs. They do weird stuff in the playoffs when they're not supposed to win.
this Montana team they're hurt now.
Yeah, they hurt real bad.
They're hurt. They lost Fonts. They lost. Pretty sure Keelan White went down with an injury. Nick Osmo went down with an injury. Everything I've seen seems to point to him being okay. But either way, I mean that team just got bludgeoned, and
Yeah.
they're going to feel that for a little while. There's
Mhm.
no way. I mean, if they give South Dakota State a run, makes us look good. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be fine with me.
Either
you know.
way, whoever goes through that division has to play South Dakota State and then North Dakota State at some point. That's
Mhm.
not going to be fun.
No, not at all.
It's not.
That is not a fun side of the bracket for anybody.
It is nice to see that the committee is willing to put the Dakota States on the same side, though.
Dakota Marker semifinal. It's pretty insane. It was what we were looking at last year potentially.
Yeah.
Was a Brawl of the Wild semifinal, and that got upsetted.
Yeah.
So who knows? That's also the fun thing about these playoffs.
Yeah.
Is like all these things feel like a lock when you put the seeds up.
It is.
Especially in FCS football, it feels like these are all locks, but there is literally a chance that anything could happen.
I mean, especially this year with the lack of real sleeper teams,
Mm-hmm.
it does feel like there's a high likelihood that the top 4 seeds go chalk.
Yeah,
It does feel like that,
it really
and that
does.
you're going to get a semifinal of Montana State, USD, North Dakota State, South Dakota State.
Mm-hmm.
The only real question mark is I could see a prolific UC Davis offense knocking off South Dakota.
Yep,
So
I could see that
that's the
rematch happening very easily.
that's the only non-chalk I could see happening.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like that's probably the most likely scenario. And bring them to Bozeman, baby.
Yeah, they
Bring it
got to
on.
go to Bozeman.
Because any
To
one
get
of
to
those
Frisco, you got to get a connecting flight to Bozeman, and then you hit Bozeman, you go through their airport there, and then
Yeah.
you go to Frisco
Yeah.
because that's where you need to go.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
And I love, I mean, the 1 seed is beautiful because everybody has to come to your house. And on our side of the bracket, they're all warm weather teams or dome
Or don't
teams.
do-
They don't play outside.
They
They're
don't
not
play
used
outside.
to it outside. They weren't born in the north.
It's also Bobcat Stadium for each one.
And
Like we have a huge home field advantage.
we know that stadium's going to be rocking.
Oh yeah,
We know it.
it's going to be going insane, absolutely insane, and we are very much looking forward to it.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, that
This
was a
week?
fun episode. There was a
It was
lot
good.
to get.
There's a lot of stuff going on right now,
Man.
and that's just week 1 of these playoffs.
Oh,
It's
gosh.
just going to get tighter and tougher after this.
Yeah.
Super excited though for everything that's coming up.
I feel like then, we're going to get we're going to have really good content from here on out because we're going to be able to watch most of these games.
Mm-hmm.
So have a ton to talk about.
Yep,
A ton.
ton of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
very excited for the people. We will catch you guys on Saturday.
Yeah.
Go ahead and like this. Sorry, I had to cough at like
Nice
the
transition.
most inopportune
Nice
time.
transition.
You know. Okay. Make sure you rate us 5 stars wherever you're listening to this at. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram or X at CatsPod. Check us out on YouTube at the CatsPod. And just have a beautiful week. Enjoy this FCS playoffs where we got that nice little bye week. And we will see you guys on Saturday.
Adios.